Old money. There are people alive today who have never worked a single day in their life, not because they are lazy, because they never had to. Their great-grandparents built something so large that the money never stopped growing. These are the old money families, the Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts, the Rothschilds, dynasties so deeply rooted in wealth that their names became synonyms for it. Old money is quiet. It does not announce itself. It does not buy flashy cars or post on social media. It buys land. It funds private schools. It sits on the boards of institutions most people have never heard of. The goal of old money has always been the same: preserve what you have, then pass on more than you received. But old money is only one type of rich person. There are at least 9 different ways people become wealthy, and each one creates a completely different kind of rich, different habits, different spending, different relationship with money. Sometimes build empires that last centuries. Others lose everything inside a decade. A few become wealthy by accident. One type has been quietly multiplying for years, and almost nobody talks about them. By the end of this video, you will know exactly which type is which, and you might recognize someone you know. New money. New money is the opposite of old money in almost every way. These are people who built their wealth within their own lifetime. No inheritance, no dynasty, just an idea, relentless work, and enough timing to turn it into a fortune. Jeff Bezos started Amazon in his garage. Oprah Winfrey grew up in poverty in rural Mississippi. Both became billionaires entirely on their own. New money tends to be visible. The mansions and the private jets are not always about arrogance. Sometimes it is simply what happens when someone experiences real financial freedom for the very first time in their life. Today, roughly 68% of the world's ultra-wealthy are self-made. New money has quietly become the most common type of rich person on the planet. But within new money, there is a specific breed that changed the rules entirely.
The tech rich. The tech rich are a specific type of new money that did not exist 40 years ago. These are the founders, engineers, and coders who built companies that rewired how the world communicates, shops, and thinks. What separates them from every other type of wealthy person in history is speed. A startup launched in a bedroom could be worth $10 billion within 5 years. Mark Zuckerberg was worth $1 billion at age 23. Elon Musk turned a payment software company into enough capital to buy a space program. The tech rich did not just accumulate wealth, they accumulated it faster than any railroad baron, oil tycoon, or industrial giant before them ever could. And here's the strange part. Many of them still dress like they work at a help desk. Plain t-shirts, ordinary cars, quietly owning everything. The real estate rich. Real estate wealth is one of the oldest and most reliable paths to becoming rich that has ever existed. These are people who built their fortunes by buying, developing, and holding property. What makes them different from other wealthy people is their patience. They do not think in years, they think in decades. They understand one fundamental truth about land that most people overlook: you cannot manufacture more of it. Donald Bren, the owner of the Irvine Company, built a fortune estimated at over $16 billion from a single real estate portfolio in Southern California. He never launched a tech startup, he never went public. He simply bought land, developed it carefully, and held it. Real estate consistently ranks as one of the top 3 industries among the world's ultra-wealthy, sitting alongside banking and finance. The celebrity rich. Celebrities represent a type of wealth that is uniquely tied to fame. Actors, musicians, athletes turned entertainers. Their income does not come in slow, steady streams. It arrives in large, sudden bursts. A single hit album, a blockbuster film, a viral moment. Millions generated almost overnight. But fame alone has never made anyone permanently wealthy. The celebrities who stay rich are the ones who treat their fame as starting capital rather than a destination. Rihanna understood this better than almost anyone. Her Fenty Beauty brand became worth more than her entire music catalog combined. Jay-Z built a business empire spanning champagne, streaming, sports management, and real estate. For the truly wealthy celebrity, the music or the movies are just the first chapter.
The athlete rich. Professional athletes earn their wealth through a combination of contracts, endorsements, and for the smartest ones, business investments made long before retirement. What makes athlete wealth unique is its urgency. The window is brutally short, 10 to 15 years of peak earning potential, if they are lucky. One bad injury, and it can end overnight. That reality forces the sharpest athletes to think about money completely differently from most people. LeBron James understood this earlier than almost any athlete in history. Before he turned 30, he had already built a business portfolio spanning media production, pizza franchises, and entertainment companies. By the time he approached retirement, retirement, his business income had grown larger than everything his basketball contracts ever paid him combined. The athletes who build lasting wealth are the ones who treat their playing career as a salary. Spend those years quietly building something else on the side.
The investor rich. The investor rich never invented a product. They never built a factory or launched an app. They built their fortunes by putting money to work inside financial markets and then waiting with extraordinary patience. Stocks, bonds, private equity, hedge funds. Warren Buffett is the clearest example in history. A man who bought his first stock at age 11 and never stopped. He did not create anything the world could hold or touch. He simply identified great businesses, bought pieces of them at the right price, and held them for decades while the rest of the world panicked and sold. What makes investor wealth different from almost every other type is how invisible it is in the early stages. The investor rich often live quietly and modestly for years. Then one day, the numbers become impossible to ignore.
The crypto rich. Cryptocurrency created an entirely new category of wealthy person almost overnight. These are people who bought Bitcoin or Ethereum early, sometimes for a few $100s, sometimes for less, and held on long enough to watch those positions multiply by thousands of times their original value. What makes crypto wealth unlike anything that came before it is the speed and the volatility. Fortunes that took 3 generations to build in real estate were built in 18 months in crypto, and in some cases, lost just as quickly. Some of the crypto rich are young people with no financial background at all, no business degree, no Wall Street connections. They simply saw something new, took a risk that most people refused to take, and held their nerve while everyone around them called it a scam.
The inheritor. The inheritor is different from old money in one important way. They did not grow up inside a dynasty. They did not spend their childhood watching wealth being managed and preserved across generations. They simply received a large sum of money at a specific moment in their life. A parent passed away. A grandparent left behind more than anyone expected, and overnight, everything changed. Some inheritors go on to multiply what they received. They treat it with discipline. They invest carefully. They build something real on top of the foundation they were handed. But studies consistently show that a significant portion of people who receive large, sudden inheritances lose most of it within 3 to 5 years. The money arrives, but the knowledge of how to manage it does not arrive with it. Wealth management is a skill, and it is almost never taught in the same classroom where the money is passed down. But there is one final type, and this one surprises almost everyone. The quiet rich. These are the people nobody suspects. The retired school teacher driving a 10-year-old sedan. The mechanic who has owned the same modest house for 30 years. The accountant who brings lunch to work every single day. From the outside, they look completely ordinary. Sometimes they look like they are struggling, but their investment accounts tell an entirely different story. A landmark study of over 225 millionaires found that the most common type was not the entrepreneur, not the celebrity, not the tech founder. It was what researchers called the saver investor, someone who never experienced a single dramatic wealth event. No IPO, no inheritance, no viral moment. They simply made saving, Investing a daily habit for 30 or 40 years and never stopped. They are the least visible type of rich person in the world. And according to the data, they are also one of the most common. The richest person you know might not look rich at all.